crazy enough, your back issue wasn't a weakness on the squat and deadlift. You know, it was just like overall weak. So everything was weak, but it was symmetrically weak, which is fine. Okay, basically what I'm going to suggest, and I'm going to let him make modifications to it, is we got a max effort squat day, max effort bench day, dynamic squat, dynamic bench. It doesn't have to be in that order, it's just how I threw it up here. Part of all his training programs, he has his warm-up, his dynamic warm-up, or six-phase warm-up. So I just put warm-up and just, we're not going to talk about that. We've already discussed that. Your primers are already pretty much established. Maybe you can adjust those a little bit. I'll leave that to you. It just kind of goes across there. So what we run into next is going to be the max effort movement here. Which, what I would say is to stick to 5 to 6 movements that you can rotate through.
Yep.
At 1 week times just no double week rotation. So it changes all the time, 5 to 6 movements, and then you can come back to be able to see what the progress is with that. Warm-ups as needed. You know, you always err on the side of more than less. Same thing for the bench. I'm not really noting what these movements are because while I do know what's in his facility and what's in his gym, I don't know what is everybody else's gym. So these movements, you want to have some type of dynamic correspondence, which we discussed later, you know, for that. Now here's where the biggest change is going to be in what I call the supplemental movement. So we'll just call it S. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll come back up here. The dynamic squat, we're going to go a 3-week wave. I'll come back to that. The dynamic bench, we're also going to go a 3-week wave. With that, we're going to go chain instead of the band and just chain only. I think you got a pretty good handle on the percentages.
Yep.
You know, so it's like 50 to, actually not even that, like 40 to 60 with the chain.
Yep.
Somewhere in that on a 3-week wave, focusing on pushing all the way through. So if you're normally using 2 chain, take it up 1. So let's just say +1. That way it has to force you to keep going instead of allowing you to push straight through it. You're more explosive than the chains you're currently using now.
Yeah.
And putting the bands on, the funny thing with the bands is they help you become a lot more explosive, but they also create more explosive strength out of the bottom because of the added stretch reflex, which plays into people like you and I to actually help us lift more weight, especially with, so it's good and bad.
Yeah.
With the 3-week squat, that wasn't too bad. So I think just any wave is fine that you're typically already using.
Okay.
Your form's pretty much on par. I wouldn't push it heavy right now. I would still keep the weight. What percentages do you use now?
We still go 40 to 60.
All right, so 40.
Across the board with all the movements.
All right, I'd still go 40, 50, and 60, but what I would do is go 10, 12, 15 sets of 2.
Okay.
Just to get more first rep. 2 reps, you have good technique on 2 reps. At 3, it begins to fail, right? So this is 30. I mean, we have close to 100 technical reps here over this period of time. If you need to take this 40, 45, 50, this can come down.
Yep.
Volume is what matters here, not workload, because we want to try to we want to dial in the technique here. I don't think it's going to take another phase to do that, but that should be good enough with that.
What bar do you want me using there for the squat?
Straight bar.
Straight bar.
Straight bar.
So I've been using the safety squat bar the weeks that I don't squat with the safety bar on the max effort. So
I want for here, because it's a technical thing, just straight bar.
Okay.
Here, no straight bar.
Okay.
No straight bar on your back twice in 1 week.
That's what we've been trying to do too. Yep. Okay.
All right, now supplemental, and this is becoming specific for you. Your upper back is the issue. So on the bench, we're going to go some kind of chaos training. I can't spell for shit, but it could be, you know, bamboo. It could be the You don't have to talk
Hanging
about
band technique.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah. So that's for time.
Okay.
So 3 to 5 minutes, something like that.
One DMX song.
Yes, and you know what? That's a big one. So we're gonna go over here too.
Okay.
We're gonna do it twice a week. It's not that taxing. The time will be the same. The weight will be the same. You know, a dime per side. If it's a straight bar, is fine. For the squat, we need to put here, since it's technical, speed pulls, conventional, singles.
Yep.
And because this is a heavy technical day, so a 3-week wave, I don't care what the weight is, 5 singles, fuck it, 10, and then 15. Okay, so keep in mind all
Is there
technique.
research on that 5, 10, 15?
No, I just made it up. What I want to do here is, this is going to be mentally kind of rough, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to really be focusing on a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And doing this with only one other person really cueing and helping you.
Yeah.
By the time you get here, you're going to be like, you know what, fuck it, I just want to train. But you should be able to pull it together for 5 decent ones.
Yeah.
And then be able to get off and train. And then your focus will increase each time. Now, supplemental here, we had that discussion about the glute hams.
Yep.
I think keeping the hamstrings there is going to be a good thing.
Okay.
Because we can try to experiment with the different loading
Okay.
and cycling of that. Now, for the dynamic, see, crazy enough, your back issue wasn't a weakness on the squat and deadlift. You know, it was just like overall weak. It's like everything was weak, but it was symmetrically weak. So I'm going to let you just pick, you know, whatever you want to do there.
You know what I'm going to pick, right?
It's going to be a single leg thing, I'm sure, which is cool, which is fine. Because there's, while I'm making fun and saying everything's weak, it's symmetrically weak, which means there's no real glaring weak points. There's no, that's for what you're talking about, being functionally strong. We want to say that with everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, but I mean, that's very, very apparent there, which is cool. So that's like a huge win.
Yeah.
So now anything under here, that's where your own stuff would come in. So I'll let you give your thoughts and if you think anything needs to be adjusted or whatnot.
So what I've been doing the last 12 weeks, this looks almost like my blueprint. A couple changes, I want to run them off of you because you're the expert here, is we haven't been doing max effort squat only. We've been doing every other week squat, every other week a hip hinge variation, and we've been doing maximal effort for that.
Tell me your hip hinge variations.
So we'll go trap bar, we'll go rack pull, we'll go hybrid pull, we'll put chains, bands, reverse, whatever. So
Are people all getting strong doing that?
Yes.
Keep that in then.
Okay.
The reason I'm asking that is, if it was a power lifter, I'd probably only want to see that variation once every 6 weeks. But they're going to be using more weight and they're not going to be worried about hip hinging. They're going to be worrying about pulling.
So say we're doing squat variation on day 1. This first supplemental exercise turns into our primary deadlift strength. So we usually do RDLs for that. So that would turn into that. And then if we deadlift that day, it turns into anywhere from a 3 to 6 on the squat variation.
Yes.
So we've been kind of using those first 2. We actually axed this out the last 12 weeks and it did really well. And we put this back down into here. And I think you would recommend that as well. What we did on bench here is...
I would is if this is going to go here.
Okay.
The glute ham should go up as a warm up.
Okay. So I'll put phase 4 activation. That's where we should be hitting that. So on bench, I've been having a good amount of success doing some sort of bench press variation or press variation once a week here. But what we've been doing is week 1 flat, week 2 angle. Ooh, that's a bad angle. But we do some sort of angle press there. So we go incline, decline, something like that, or it's floor press, flat press, and we use methods here.
Okay.
So that's been going pretty well there. And then this is where
for one thing for you though, I don't want you floor pressing yet, right? Okay, I like this slight decline, slight incline, because we're trying to tie in this leg drive. Right? So when you go on the floor, you're taking away all leg drive.
So I was talking to Julia Ledusky on message about this. Floor pressing, my ass was coming up every time I went over 300 pounds. I went flat knees, flat feet, and it didn't affect my push whatsoever. My performance is a 1-to-1 ratio on bench press and floor press, which isn't right.
It should be 10%. It should be 10%
so
variance.
That's not there. The variation.
Well, you know what that tells me again? That just solidifies you don't have leg drive when you bench.
Exactly. So we've been using a secondary press. It's usually been a dumbbell variation, but I know that it's not having the kind of carryover that I want for strength. It's having carryover for making people's chesticles look good, but that's about it.
They can still do that. I might make that second movement still a barbell.
Yes.
If it's a JM press or a 3-board close grip. You know, if it's close grip.
The last 2 weeks, it's been close grip, anywhere from 4 to 8 reps.
Yes.
So still getting significantly heavy, but having more constant tension in the system for that.
In that part of the training, 8 might be a little too many.
Okay.
5 would probably, like 3 to 5 for that second movement would be a good variation. That they might be able to rotate for 2 to 3 sessions. It can be, you know, anything with a close grip, just put it that way. Anything that's a close grip that's not a radical extension. So it can be a press, it can be a JM press, but nothing that exceeds a JM press from an elbow extension standpoint.
So my question for you is, because lats, it's like lats, that's what we want to bring into all this stuff. Why would I be, I've been doing it myself. I've been programming it myself. Close grip there, it's going to take away my ability to utilize lats. Why would that be my first primary?
Your first primary is still going to be the chaos training.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, so, for the bench.
Okay.
So the chaos for you
so this is going to
go up, yes, because your arms are going to be way too shot by the time you get there.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
And then one thing that we set out in the gym, but I just want to reiterate here, is the one thing that's the easiest thing that I could possibly do, which you said, is don't rack that weight on the bench, don't rack that weight on the squat, hold it on your system, and then put it back.
Even hold the pull for a second.
Yep.
You know, just
so hold that top end.
Don't be an idiot though and turn your head when you're holding the deadlift.
Do some nodding, some winking.
Yeah, it's
okay. This is exactly what we've been doing. We've been doing 2-week waves instead of 3. We're going to just shift that to 3.
Yeah.
This from a percentage system, from these going up in reps. This looks exactly like what we're doing. So I'm very happy to hear that you are backing up what we're doing.
We'll phase out of it, right? So once technique starts to become solid, say 80%, I'm not a complete total technique freak, but once it's 80%, then you want to start getting into strength waves because the stronger you get, the better your technique becomes as well.
Okay. So this looks very similar. We've been moving in the neutral grip bar over here on dynamic bench. I don't get the type of training effect from the neutral grip bar as I do from the barbell.
For you right now with technique and everything, no.
Okay.
But for your group, yes. For me, yes. But I think it's too much of a change to have a big carryover to the bench unless your technique is just super, super dialed in.
This is going to be 3 chain instead of 2 to truly get that heavier top.
Yes.
So question for you. When I do the 2 chains on the side, I can get it to the point where I can move it so fast that the chains almost fly up off the ground. That's too fast, right?
Yes.
If I'm moving it if the chains are flying, it's too fast.
Yes.
So it needs to be
smoother. So what you can do is, let's say you're doing that and that's 50%.
Yep.
Okay? And the chains are like flipping off. That's where I would go, you know, like we talked about before. Do a set after that at 55. Do a set at 60. Do a set at 65. You're very explosive, right? So you very well could be here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's an outlier, but you could be doing your sets of 2 here where people in your group have to be here.
No doubt.
Because on that, you know, strength, speed, explosive, you're here. If somebody else is here, you see?
Yeah, the percentage.
Yes, this will influence.
I always like having 2 to 3 ramp up sets even for speed work, so you can get the setup correct, you can get the loading correct, because 40% for somebody is going to feel light, 40% for somebody else is going to feel heavy.
Yes.
I'm coming off of singles at 70%. That's what we did the last 2 weeks. I could still move them fast. If I said 70% for everybody, they'd be grinding singles.
Yes.
So the one thing, we do the squat, hinge, lunge, push, pull, carry. Squat and hinge, that's set. Push, that's set. Pull, we did a little bit of it today with the chest support row. What I plan on doing is getting the incline bench, putting it on my low cable row, getting the bar, the Troy bar, and doing that there. That's one hell of a variation that we set up a couple weeks ago. I love that, and it's very similar to the kind of machine that we had, minus the kind of back stress that you'd have with a bent over row variation. So that's the row variation that I want to start putting in more. We're going to continue to do the vertical pulling there. We've been mixing hand grip positions. I told you in the gym, we've been chasing heavier loading for the pull-ups. So anywhere between 3 and 6 reps. Probably going to keep that in there as well. I usually put that over here though, so it'd be like a pull-up. Because I don't like having to go super heavy here and then turn it around and pull super heavy again. For lower body, the single leg work, this is a big question that I had for you. I'm really good at single leg shit. I could put the heaviest dumbbells on my body in both hands, I could Bulgarian split squat them 10 times. That's not a weakness of mine by any means of the imagination. I have this bilateral deficit right now. So there's this monstrous deficit where I don't know whether I should be taking it out or just dialing it back, because I do get a massive training effect from it. Nothing hits me harder in terms of glutes, adductors, and quads than going through a Bulgarian split squat or a split squat in general. So that's something that I really look at as, a general health thing. It's easy on the spine, it's easy on the joints. I'm getting crushed by it. I'm getting DOMs. I'm getting a great training effect. My heart rate is going up, but I'm just so fucking good at it. Like, why do I continuously do the same shit that I'm great at? That's not cleaning up any weak links. So my question to you is, should I be putting it in here? Should I be putting it in here? Or should I just be taking a break from the single leg work?
I think you can put it in wherever you want, because I think the reason why you're not seeing that carryover, okay, is you don't have to brace that hard on a single leg movement, right?
That's true.
You found out today, oh my God, and it was only 185 on both things, right? So now when this becomes here, like that, you're gonna see that squat, which say, whatever it is, X, 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 right? It's gonna go to Z, Z, Z. And that discrepancy that you see, it's going to shorten because this is gonna go where it's supposed, the problem is this isn't where it's supposed to be.
Right, I totally agree.
So once this is here, and it's a different type of bracing with single leg. I'm not saying that you don't have to brace with single leg, but you don't have to brace for massive loads on single leg like that, unless you're doing single leg work with the same amount you're actually barbell squatting with, which if that was the case, you wouldn't have that problem.
I was almost embarrassed 3 weeks ago. I did split squats with the safety squat bar on my back, the yoke bar on my back. I had 300 pounds on, I did it for 5 reps. Earlier on in the workout, I squatted about 335 for like 2 reps. I was like, what the fuck?
Well, keep in mind, if it's a split squat, you got a leg back, right?
Right.
Both legs still are working. It's not a complete total single leg. So it is
asymmetrical stance loaded.
Yes.
But still, like I was at risk of actually split squatting more than my bilateral squat, which in my mind is just not acceptable.
No, it shouldn't be. And that's that. That's the breathing and all the other stuff. So I think you can keep it in as you want. Do you have to try to push to make it better? No, because you already know it doesn't. If you're trying to push your squat, bench, and deadlift, you already know it doesn't have correspondence to making those stronger for you.
Right.
All right, that needs to be stressed for you. Because I know other people I can put it in and it will make their lift stronger.
For sure.
So it's always individualized.
And then the last one here is, how do I train core differently than what I'm already doing? Because in my mind, I'm one of these genetic outliers that, like, it's worked for sport in the past for me. It's like I have big shoulders, I have strong legs, but this midsection, it seems to break me in half no matter what. The bracing mechanism that we went over today is going to be a game changer. But, you go for the CrossFit Games next week. The athletes that we have in the CrossFit Games, holy shit, their midsections are the biggest thing you've ever seen. Ted walking around, he's got a big midsection. I think that learning how to use this is step one, but step two for me, I know we're not quite there yet, but how do I actually go in and do some core hypertrophy, so to say?
It happens when you get stronger. So you start supporting more weight on your back, your body has to accommodate that weight. So where's it going to accommodate the weight?
Yeah.
You know, the first place it's going to accommodate the weight, if you're contracting and bracing the way you should be, is there. Because it's the adaptation of having heavy loads on your back is to build the spine and protect the spine. So it's really, the squat really is more of a torso movement than it is a leg movement if it's done right. So that will come with a regular training. You know, there's really no other way around. I mean, you can do heavy ab work, but right now it's not necessary because your abs are going to be sore just from what you did.
No doubt.
You know, so anything more, say loaded straight leg raises, is going to create an environment to where your abs and torso can't recover, and then you go to brace and you're like, what the hell? You can't flex because of the other stuff.
So the last thing, we were talking about it at lunch, and I do want to mention that about a year and a half ago, I decided to change my specific programming. We did heavy work always, but the later end week was more about hypertrophy work for the big lifts. So we were hitting heavy front squats in 5 to 8 range here. We were doing heavy presses here, 5 to 8 range, and it was fucking frying my system. And what I do for a living is coach athletes and talk in front of groups and educate trainers and coaches. And I was going into my seminars. I would do this on a Friday, this on a Saturday. On Saturday night, I felt like I might die. This is a year and a half ago. A year and a half ago, we shifted to this functional conjugate training model. And we started putting dynamic effort work in here, dynamic effort work in here. On Thursdays are usually the days that I travel. I can get off the plane and I can feel exhilarated by going through some neural work here, some technique work here with submaximal loads, and I feel like a boss after that. And then I go in on Saturday morning, sometimes 5, 6 a.m. before these seminars, and I go in and go dynamic effort bench, and we have some supplementary lifts that hit. I feel amazing even after those seminars. So we didn't really change much else. Nothing on nutrition, no supplementation, nothing except for the training itself. And it seemed to exhilarate what I was able to do in terms of like me as a professional, what I do for a living, just based off of this neural component that was missing in my training. And going back to what you were saying, it's like, hey, you're an explosive guy. You know, Christian Thibodeau talks a lot about, you know, training for your being. I was training against my being with this.
I see what you're saying now. When we were speaking at lunch, it was a little bit different than what I thought the direction was going. But what I would say is going here is, first off, this is great if you have to travel. Because you can always find somewhere to speed bench. You can always find somewhere to speed squat. If you're doing max effort work, you're going to be stuck doing a straight bar, and now you got a bar on your back. It's just,
and you can travel with bands.
And you can travel with bands. I mean, it's you can, if you really, really had to. I've done dynamic work on a machine in a health club, and it can still get done. You can do it with push-ups. But what I think is happening here that's making you feel that way is when I used to speak a lot, one of the things that I would do was to try to prime my central nervous system is jump around, move. You know, I have a little trampoline that I used to, you know, anything to move. That gets you, that brings in that explosiveness, Hindu squats, that kind of stuff. Just boom, if you did this before you presented, you just go like in the back where nobody sees you, knock out 15, 20 Hindu squats, boom, all of a sudden you're ready to go speak. Then you go speak because your nervous system, you just woke it up. The thing with the nervous system, Donnie Thompson made actually a great post about this, is we only know maybe 10 or 20% of what it even does. So it's kind of fucked up to sit here and talk about it because we really don't know. So it's just a term that we're throwing out, but it makes you feel good, where the strength work beats you down. Now, when you start going through here, this dynamic squat stuff, and it comes off of technical work and it starts going into strength cycles, being an explosive person, it will fuck your world. So it will not be that thing you're gonna do before you go speak, because your legs will be cramping and you're gonna feel like you're gonna wanna puke. But those cycles can be structured based upon what your travel schedule is. You know, and that's the key thing that the way I had it set up is I spoke on Saturdays, so I would fly out I would go train dynamic squats in the gym, go straight to the airport with horse liniment and sometimes my briefs on, fly to where I had to go, do the seminar, and then speed bench was Sunday the next day.
Yeah.
So boom, boom, it's done. You don't have to worry about it, and it's out.
Right.
So I think what you're talking about, though, is that priming where you would probably, to be honest, get the same effect jumping rope before you went out to speak.
But it wouldn't make me bench press.
No, it wouldn't make you bench press more. But I think that's what it is, though, is this has always kind of been described as being more neural.
Right.
And this being more muscular, mechanical. Now this, obviously, before anything that you have to use your mind is just a big mistake. I've tried to do table talks after that, and it's just like blah, blah, blah. It's just a mess.
One last thing I'll mention is I'm going to be putting in energy systems development here, energy systems development here, nothing here, and then recovery here. So me being me, I love to train every single day to be in the gym doing meaningful work. So this for me will look like the 7-day week schedule.
I like that there's nothing here. If there is going to be something here.
So this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what it ends up being, a recovery day on Sunday, and then we're back to it.
You need some kind of passive thing between these two. Even if it's just contrast that night, something, because 2 speed days in a row is a train wreck just waiting to happen. Right, with these phases, no. But when it gets harder, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but if your nutrition, there's a lot of other variables. If your nutrition is on point, your workout nutrition is on point, everything else is on point, you're doing the post-training stuff that you're supposed to do, probably don't.
Okay.
But it wouldn't hurt to have something.
One thing I do every night, like we walk or do something every night too, so there's always that built in. But these are the days that I feel the best, going back to back.
This is where it's most important.
Okay.
Right there, between those two. That's a bitch. That's where it's definitely.